Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Premier League and Carabao Cup this week roundup. I'm joined by Soph, who's a new addition to this show. You'll see that my other co-host Kendall isn't available today. She was absolutely dead after the Carabao Cup. She actually went to Wembley, so she'll be back with us in a couple of weeks. But Soph, we've been chatting for a couple of weeks and we're finally able to get on the screen together. So thank you so much for coming on. How's it going?
It's going good, thank you. Very good after yesterday, of course. But yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's good to finally chat with you. And I know there's a lot to talk about this evening, so I'm really intrigued to see how this show is going to go. But yeah, I'm doing really well, thank you. And I hope you're good too.
Well, as good as I can be, right? What's happening at Chelsea? It's been, I tell you, I've been trying to stay off of Twitter, honestly, because it's just so depressing to see what everybody's putting. And we'll get into Chelsea, but I do want to talk about Manchester United because really you won your first trophy under Erik ten Hag. What were your expectations going into the match yesterday?
I thought it was a really dodgy one, to be honest with you, because I thought Newcastle, obviously, a really good defence this season. Obviously, I think it was 67 years, was it, since they last won a trophy? So obviously, they had a lot of not expectation, but you knew that they were going to be up for this game. Like, it was going to be a tough test for us. It could have easily been a banana skin. Obviously, on form, you'd say realistically we should have won that game, but cup finals, it's cliche, but form goes out the window, and it's about who's at it the most on that day. So you never quite know with United. Like, we've seen a few times this season, even though I know we're doing well, like, it's been a few times where first half we've come out a bit slow, second half we've turned it around after Ten Hag has made changes. But actually yesterday I thought that, and this is no disrespect to Newcastle, but I felt like it was a pretty comfortable win for us. They had a lot of the ball, but I don't think that they pressurised us too much and didn't scare De Gea too much in goal as well. So I just feel like it was a really successful final for us. I wasn't expecting it to be as smooth running as it was for us, to be honest. But I want to say a massive, obviously, fair play to Newcastle, getting to that final first season with the takeover and stuff as well. And I think they've done a tremendous job. I think they're definitely a team to look out for next season in particular. But yeah, I'm obviously really happy to get our first trophy under Ten Hag. I'm saying first because I'm hoping there's a few more as well. I'm not going to get too overhyped about it because it is a Carabao Cup, and obviously I'm not going to get too excited. But yeah, just a really good feeling, and a feeling that we haven't really been familiar with for a while now at United.
Yeah, and it's always nice, like, even if, it's the Carabao Cup and other rivals start to play it down, it's still a trophy at the end of the day. And
Of
it's still
course,
something
of course,
to
yeah.
get excited about. So I saw on Twitter after the match that apparently in Erik ten Hag's presser before the match, he said that something about Newcastle playing a bit boring and that being a sneaky tactic or a sneaky way to get them to kind of change their game plan a little bit, and that Eddie Howe fell into that trap. So did you notice that at all? Did you see any of that happen during the game? Did Newcastle play differently than maybe you would have expected going into the match?
I don't think so. I think you have to give our defence credit. I feel like we defended really resolutely. I know Ten Hag made a comment about the time wasting, and ironically, De Gea got booked for time wasting in that final. So I think there was definitely some mind games going on there. But no, I just feel like on the day the better team won, which is the way it should be in a final realistically. But I don't know whether the occasion got a bit to Newcastle or what, but I just felt like realistically this season they've done well defensively, but going forward goals hasn't really been their strong point, and I think that showed again yesterday. Like I said, they had a lot of the ball, midfield is quality as we know with Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton in there, but once we got to that final third, I don't know, I think Varane and Martin has kind of dealt with everything, and De Gea as well in goal. So I think we have to have credit defensively for how we did. But yeah, the time wasting comment did make me laugh with De Gea getting booked for literally that offence. So yeah.
That's so funny. In just like another comment, I don't know, like maybe for Newcastle having Karius in goal, he hasn't played a competitive match in years. So
fair play to him. Fair play to him.
I do think he did well. Yeah.
He did. I think, obviously, I know there's a lot of criticism. I was listening to Talk Sport on the way home from work, and they were saying like there's a lot of criticism for Karius for Rashford's goal. But for me, like, he's going down for the shot and it's deflected over him. There's not a lot he could do about that. He made a really good save towards the end against Bruno Fernandes as well. So I think fair play for a keeper who hasn't played for so long, in particular a keeper as well, because keepers are isolated a lot of the time anyway. You have to keep concentrated. We always say that, don't we? But with him, like, he literally hasn't even played a competitive match for so long. So I think fair play to him. I don't think you can blame Karius for his performance yesterday at all.
And it must have been really difficult to, he's kind of had to live with that Champions League performance haunting him for the rest of his career. And is
Yeah.
one game in his entire career, and then just like go right back into another final. Like that must have been really difficult mentally as well. You mentioned Marcus Rashford. I do want to touch on him because he, in my opinion, is one of the most informed players in Europe at the moment. 25 goals so far this season in all comps already. Tell us a little bit about Marcus Rashford. He seems that he just can't stop scoring at the moment.
Yeah, it's one of them. Everything he touches. I mean, you look at the goal yesterday. Everything he touches just goes in at the moment. But what I like about Rashford this season is the fact that while he's getting into those positions, in the first place, which is something that he lacked, he didn't really get himself in there. He's in the mix now, and I think Benny McCarthy deserves a lot of credit for what he's done. The work that he has done with him has been phenomenal. But he's also so clinical when he gets in those positions. I mean, how many times have we seen it over the years where Rashford has got there, but he's dragged the shot wide or he's made a run decision? This season, it seems like he's sorted his decision making out. Yeah, he might be a bit selfish sometimes, but you can't really blame a player with, like you say, the record he's got this season for going for goal, and like 9 times out of 10, it's going in. So I love it. Last season, a lot of people got on Rashford's back, and I did defend him a lot of time because I think you could see clearly there was more to what we could see. There was obviously something off the pitch that was playing on his mind as well. He wasn't quite right. His body language, everything was off. He's worked hard through the summer. Ten Hag has put an arm around him as well, and I just feel now he's really reaping the rewards. So I think he's absolutely flying. We can't be too reliant on him now. I will add that. We can't be too reliant on Rashford. Obviously, he can't do it on his own, but yeah, he's just been so clinical this season, and it's refreshing to see. He's also added headers to his game, which he never really had before. And like I said, I think Benny McCarthy deserves a lot of credit as well.
And I'm just like taking a look at the chat. I'll make sure to go through more comments throughout this stream. I promise, guys. Diego said Eric Ten Hag has found a way to unlock the potential of most not of his players. And I feel like Rashford is a key example of that because last season, you look at his stats, he wasn't playing to his best. And a lot of people were, well, I at least on Twitter, I saw a lot of negative comments about Rashford. And I was so, well, like, I'm surprised about this because from an outsider, I've always thought of him as somebody who's one of the strongest players in the United side and super, super capable. So what difference do you think that Ten Hag has made? And I want to draw a comparison to Mason Mount because I feel that Mason Mount is, of course, not having his best season. We've seen a lot of people give up on Mason Mount. I think Marcus Rashford is kind of an example of if the talent is there, it can come back. So don't be silly about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think Rashford and Mount, the talent has always been there. It was more of a mindset thing. And like I said, I know there are issues off the field as well. I know he's got engaged recently and stuff like that. So obviously his issues off the field are sorted, which I think a lot of the time you forget footballers are humans. We don't always see what's going on in the background. And it could well be the case with Mason Mount that actually there's a new manager coming in and he's struggling to settle for whatever reason. I just feel like you just got to stick by these players. I'm not saying he needs to start every single game. Of course, certain players, if they're not performing, deserve to be dropped at least. But I don't agree with I think there's a difference between criticising players and absolutely berating them. Do you know what I mean? And fans are fickle at the end of the day when a player is playing well. Like Mason Mount could score the winner for you this weekend, and then everyone will be like, "Oh, I love him again." Like it's just like fans are fickle, aren't they? But I think the important thing is to put your arm around these players. And obviously, I know as fans we can't physically do that, but I think showing a bit of support, a bit of patience as well. Because when it is going well, it really goes well. But when it isn't, it can be absolutely awful. So I feel like they are human too. And yeah, I think with Ten Hag, obviously, like I say, Rashford went away. He did a lot of individual training through the summer. I remember posting pics on socials and stuff where he was working hard. And then Ten Hag has obviously got in his ear as well. We've got the right staff around him, like I've already mentioned. And I just feel like everything's kind of clicked into place for him. But we had to be patient with him. Last season, he was absolutely dire at times. And I mean, like really bad. And it was like he wasn't even working. And that's the minimum you expect from your players. You want them to work hard, even if it's not going well. But he's turned it around this season. And like I say, he's so clinical in front of goal. And he's really reaping the rewards for the hard work that he's put in. And obviously the hard work that the coaching staff have put in as well. And I just feel like with Mason Mount, the talent is there. Like you've said with Rashford, it's just a case of being a bit patient with him. Maybe a time on the side will help him. Who knows? But yeah, I don't think Mason Mount is the main issue at Chelsea at the minute, is it? It just seems like he's taking a lot of it at the minute.
We'll get into the issues at Chelsea, but just to touch on Mason Mount a little bit, like he's somebody that was Chelsea's player of the season for 2 years in a row. Yeah. I don't see how the fan base can turn on him because he's having a poor season, and this guy is in a contract negotiation at the moment. Well, the contract negotiation has been put on hold as well, so he definitely has that looming over his head as well, that if his contract doesn't get sorted, he's going to get sold. And I would be absolutely freaking gutted if Mason Mount gets sold, because I think that would be really bad piece of business because I still believe in Mason Mount so much. So,
Yeah.
like Sophie said, like these players are human and you have to like I don't know, give them some empathy a little bit. They're going through things as well. If you have a hard day at work,
Yeah.
like nobody's like berating you about it. So that's my thing on Mason Mount. I don't want to talk about him too much, but I love Mason Mount. I think he's a fantastic player who's going through a tough time, and we should stand by him. Another player that I wanted to mention is Casemiro, because I think he's been actually quite underrated signing, and he's completely transformed this United side, and just the leadership that he brings into the team, the experience as well, having 5 Champions Leagues. I don't know if you would be at the point that you're at without Casemiro. And he's also, a defensive player, but he's coming in clutch, scoring in goals. I feel like I'm seeing his name really often. I don't know, but
that's because you follow me on Twitter. That's why, because I just don't stop talking about it. I love him. I absolutely love it. I can't remember the time, last time I loved a player like I do Casemiro. He just does everything. I know you mentioned our CDM, but obviously he's scoring goals as well. He's just a big game player. And you can see he's infectious as well. Like you can see his passion, his desire, it rubs off on the rest. And there's likes of Varane, Martinez as well. Adding characters like that, literally winners, is only going to bode well for your team. So I just feel like Casemiro, signing of the season for me, you said underrated, but for me, he is the signing of the season. You've seen how we perform without him there. He's so crucial to our play. But like I say, it's not just on the pitch, it's off the pitch as well, that mentality. We've said for ages that the mentality is the biggest issue at our club. We just haven't got winners. We haven't got that leader, and he just brings it all. So yeah, I just love the guy. I have not got enough positive things I could say about him. I think we could talk all night and I'd still be saying words about Casemiro, to be honest with you.
That's how I am with Aspilicueta. I just like,
you could never do anything wrong. Like, yeah.
You will never do anything wrong. And years ago, you missed the joke on Twitter, but there's like this running joke that he looks like exactly like my husband. So people are like, what's my husband doing on the bitch? I'm like, don't say that, because maybe he sees it and thinks I'm a freaking psycho. Because they're both Spanish as well. So they like, yeah. Okay, I'm just going through some question. Oh wait, no, I didn't want to show this one. I want to show this one from Robbie. Question for Sophie: thoughts on how Erik ten Hag has transformed the team in a short amount of time?
Ten Hag, for me, he was one of the, we always wanted him. Like a lot of United fans wanted him, and I'm like, let's talk about Poch, and obviously Ten Hag would have been the two main. And then obviously because he was at Ajax, everyone's like, oh, he's not really been in the Premier League and stuff. For me, the main thing is just coming in and just showing who's boss. And I know that sounds stupid, but certain managers are known to be yes men, and like the Ronaldo situation, even the Rashford discipline situation. I think he's echoed what Fergie would say back in the day, that nobody's bigger than this club, and he stood by his word. You know what I mean? Everything that he said, he's lived through it. He's done it. Like he hasn't just said them like empty threats, you call it. Like he literally is true to his word. He's resilient. He backs himself. And as a fan, I think that's refreshing to see, because so many times, like Ronaldo situation, it was just like a circus. The Pogba, there was a circus there as well. Since Ten Hag has come in, he's had a lot of issues to deal with. Like not even on the pitch, obviously. No, on the pitch we were struggling, but even off the pitch as well, there's a lot of things that have been going on, and I feel like everything that's coming his way, he has dealt with impeccably. And even like little stuff, like he was having dinner with Fergie the other day, and there's a picture of it on Twitter, and it just melted my heart. He's come out afterwards, and he left the trophy in the press conference, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I can leave it because I'm going to get another one anyway." And it's just stuff like that. Like it's so endearing to the fans. I know that the village that he lives in Manchester, like he always walks around there locally. He's on his bike, and someone asked him about that, and he said it's because he wants to get to know the area, he wants to know the culture, he wants to know the club inside and out. And just hearing stuff like that, like you can see that he's loving being at United. He's not just there for the money or the paycheck or whatnot. Like he's there because he wants to be there. He loves the club. And I'm excited to see where we go. It's still early days with him. We always said it wasn't going to be a quick fix with him, and it's never going to be a quick fix. But the progress that we've made in the time he's been there, I think, has been remarkable. And like I say, it's that presence. Like, you know who is boss. Ten Hag is boss. He sticks to his guns. And I feel like we've lacked a presence like that in charge. So, yeah, really refreshing. I think that's the key word, really, for Ten Hag. Refreshing for us United fans to see that. And obviously to have a trophy now already is brilliant as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely forgot that the Ronaldo situation was this season. Like it feels like it was forever ago already. And I thought that he handled that brilliantly as well. And I feel that from an outside perspective, ever since Ronaldo left, it seemed that the team is just improving.
Imagine if someone would have said to you, "Oh, you're going to release Ronaldo and you're going to sign Wout Weghorst to replace him,
yeah,
and you're going to
yeah,
go and win a trophy." Like, how's he making that work? But he is, and that's yeah, crazy, crazy.
yeah. So we have a question from Andrew, and he says, Sophie, where do you think Man United will finish in the Premier League table this season? I'm going to add to this. Do you think United could potentially be in the title race? Is it early to say that?
We could, but do I think personally like we're in a title race? I'm going to say no. Obviously mathematically we are, but for me, like the objective this season was always a trophy and top four, and I think that will always stay there for Ten Hag. Obviously, in the top forefront, we're doing well. In terms of where do I think we'll finish, I actually think we could finish second this season because I don't think City. Like, City over the previous years, you think, you know what, like they're going to go on a run. You just know it's going to happen. You can call it. They're going to go on a run from now to the end of the season. I don't see the same kind of resilience with Man City this season that we have seen. Whether it's because of obviously what's going off the pitch with them or whatnot, I don't know what it is, but they just don't seem right this season. Now, I'm not one of these who'd be like, oh, they've got Haaland and they've got worse, because I think there's been a lot of contributing factors. They've had some injuries and stuff like that as well, but I don't know. They don't seem to have the same resilience that they have over previous years. And I think this game against Liverpool at the weekend is a huge game for us. I think if we beat Liverpool, we've got the best running really until the end of the season. But we're also competing on 3 other fronts, so it's about us keeping players fit. We know that we haven't really got that quality to rotate. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting end to the season. But I genuinely think we can finish second because I don't see City being as resilient. That does unfortunately mean that I'm saying Arsenal are going to win the league, and that hurts me to say that.
Yeah, that hurts as well. Really would so much prefer Man City to win the league because it's like, what's another one? Like they've won it like 5 out of how many years now? But Arsenal.
How would you feel about United winning the league out of the options?
With United, I think I would prefer United to Arsenal just because it's like Arsenal haven't won anything in so long.
Yeah.
Like I think with Man City, I'm the most unbiased because I'm like, it's City, and maybe a lot of other people feel like too. How do you feel about City as a United fan? Maybe it's like a stronger.
I mean, either one is painful. But I'll be honest, like especially like on social media and stuff, like Arsenal are the more hated rival, like in terms of that, because Arsenal fans, we know they can be unbearable, and I'm not being disrespectful here. They know it. Like, but you are right. I think, like, at the end of the day, the most consistent team should win the league, and I think so far Arsenal are where they are for a reason. They have been consistent this season, and I think Arteta deserves a lot of credit. They're playing good football, and they've still got players like Jesus to come back, which is what makes me think actually I can see Arsenal winning more games than City from now until the end of the season, just because City seem to have a blip every now and again. Are City more focused on that Champions League? Like, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, it is an interesting one because, like you said, I always feel that City, in the winter, like maybe they'll have like a rocky start to their season, but then in the winter they go on to this amazing run of form, and you just feel like they're winning every single game. And I keep feeling like, are they going to do it? Is now going to be the moment? And then they'll have a blip and they'll have a step
exactly,
back. Want to win. And it's a good point because you know that Pep wants that Champions League with City and he hasn't been able to get it. Is this going to be the year? Are we going to see a lot of rotation or heavy focus when there's the Champions League fixtures as well? And I think they drew versus Leipzig, if I remember correctly. I think it was 1-1. So they have to go out and win this game now. So I think like that's also going to be massive. But it's going to be really interesting to see the top 4 race, the title race, also the relegation race. Massive game this weekend, Leeds versus Southampton. Leeds got the 1-0 win. Now they're out of the bottom 3 for now, 1 point safe. Everton have fallen into the bottom 3, which I never would have seen happening. So how do you see the relegation battle going?
It's a really hard one to call. Obviously, Deutsch came in, and with Everton, you're thinking he's a very good manager, but going forwards, like them not signing in the January window, I think is going to be really costly for them. I really do. I actually quite like Everton in the Premier League, but I don't know. I just feel like it's criminal not to invest. Leeds getting rid of the manager when they did, like again, like it's a bit of a mad one, but. Yeah, Marsh for me, it was never going to work out for him.
Really?
Southampton, I don't know what it is about it. I don't know. It just never felt like, I don't know. And for me, it never felt like a permanent stay. I don't know. I never saw it being a long term. And I don't know what it was about him. Nothing against him personally, obviously, but I never saw it being a longevity thing. I feel it's one of them, like, they tried it, and and I can understand why they did get rid of him when they did, because obviously they're thinking they want to stay in the league. Of course, I totally get that. You don't let it get too far. But yeah, I think that relegation one is I think the only one I'd say I'm actually confident are going to go down is Southampton, but even they keep getting a sneaky little result here and there. But
just beat Chelsea.
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, and it's a bit like you said about the top, like with City and stuff. You feel like, oh, is this going to be the moment now they're going to drop points, and then they just randomly just get like a win? It's random, but yeah, it's really intriguing at the bottom of the table. Leeds, Southampton, and Everton are the three that always come to mind for me. But obviously, there's other teams you could drop into that. Yeah, baffling one. Bournemouth as well are a team that this season I thought, oh, are they going to stay up this season? And they started all right, to be fair. They started all right, but then they kind of fizzled out a little bit. So yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to call. It's hard for me to sit here and give you 3 teams because every week it seems to change at the minute.
Yeah. It is really hard. I'm just taking a look at the table. Southampton currently last place. They've all played the same amount of games, by the way. So Southampton 18 points, Bournemouth 21, Everton 21, Leeds 22, West Ham 23, Wolves 24, Leicester 24. So I feel like all of the like Leicester only 3 points clear right now. Like that's that's nothing. So you could see it if Everton win and Leicester lose, like you could see it. I don't know why, like as a Chelsea fan, maybe people will hate me. Like I have this soft spot for Leeds, and I know that there's this like terrible rivalry, but I just love the American players that play for Leeds, and I'm just so proud of them from the US men's national team, like Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie. I know Brendan Harrison also plays there as well. I'm just such big fans.
Their midfield is very good now. Their midfield is very good. I think that obviously signing McKennie, very good. What I like about Leeds is that no matter, even with Bielsa there, and it doesn't really seem to have changed that much, is they're entertaining to watch because they're league goals, but they're also attractive going forwards. And I know like they haven't scored a lot, but they're always a threat. I feel like they're always a threat going forwards, and it's like they don't even care how many they can see. It's a bit like me on FIFA. Like I can't defend on FIFA, so I just try and attack, like, and outscore the opposition. And I feel that's how Leeds play. But I kind of respect that at the same time because I think the games are always entertaining. But obviously, if you want to stay in the Premier League, then you need to try and obviously defensively improve, and I think that's where obviously Leeds now are looking to improve. But yeah, I think they've got a very good midfield. I think they signed obviously McKennie in the January window, which I think is a very good signing. But Southampton are my mainstay. I think they're definitely going to go down just because I don't see the quality in Southampton. But like I say, they keep shutting me up by getting these results week in, week out. West Ham's an interesting one. You mentioned West Ham there because I don't think West Ham, you look at the players who've got like Declan Rice and stuff, like you don't really expect them to be where they are, but they just seem to be in a right struggle at the moment. Like they don't seem to be going anywhere. Like there's no real progression with them, is there? So I think they're a team to watch as well. And if Declan Rice does end up getting relegated with West Ham, it'd be interesting to see where he ends up.
Yeah, because I can't see Declan Rice playing in the Championship. Like I would be surprised at least maybe he feels they want to bring West Ham back up to the Premier League, but I would be shocked. That's like another thing, like these teams that you don't expect to go down, like West Ham or Everton, I would think that their contracts don't have relegation clauses in them. So what happens with all of their players? Like that could be really, really bad. So that's going to be interesting. And kind of speaking about that, then we go to the next topic. We have Chelsea versus Leeds coming up. Guys, I think I should be at that game. I might be working. I'm not sure. I think I'm working that game, which would be cool. Or will it, depending on the results. But so we haven't talked at all about Chelsea, not privately, not on here. So I'm really keen to hear your thoughts about what's going on at the club just from a neutral perspective, because everybody on here knows my thoughts. I tend to lean towards the positive side because I feel like there's just like a lot of negativity on Twitter. So I just try to be positive. But people don't like to hear that when things are going really shit. So
of course. From the outside looking in, I think you got obviously a new owner in Todd, and I feel like he's splashed the cash, but a bit recklessly. There's no real plan to the signings, and I do actually feel a bit sorry for Potter. I feel like he's been given all these players. It's like, right, come on, then go and work miracles, and it's like, hang on, I was still trying to embed myself anyway. Like, I just feel like it's really hard to manage with the amount of players that he's just been given. I mean, you saw it with Forest. Like, look how many players they signed, and it took them a while really to click. And now they're finally starting to find their feet a little bit. But I feel like it takes a while for those new players to embed themselves, especially when you've got players who obviously cost a lot of money. We know the added pressure that brings as well. And unfortunately, I just don't think at a team like Chelsea you are given that time. Apparently, Potter is going to be given a bit more time, but realistically, if you drop points again against Leeds, like, do you see him still being there? Is it Dortmund you have after that? Like, is he still going to be there for the Dortmund game? Like, and that's the only thing about it. I think like he's been. Don't get me wrong, you still should be doing better than you are doing. But I do also think at the same time, like, he's been given a lot of new players and been expected for it to just click straight away. When realistically, that rarely happens. So I just feel like. I don't know. I feel a bit sorry for Potter. I will say that. I do think that Chelsea have got a lot of quality in the squad. A lot of players who are underperforming at the moment for whatever reason. Is it down to the manager? Who knows? Obviously, you watch Chelsea a lot more than I do. But from me, as I'm looking in, I see a team who've got a lot of individual quality players, but not really gelled as a team yet. And it's as to whether Potter can do that, really.
Yeah, that's basically exactly my thoughts. And something that I say, well, I don't know who knows, but like, I'm from New York. I moved to Madrid. I know how difficult it is just to adjust to living in a new country and having a new culture. And that's something that you don't really think about when you think of players moving to the Premier League. For me, it was super difficult to learn the language and to just be used to hearing that every day and to be thrown into a completely new culture. And I have my husband here. So I can't even imagine what these players, like, you get thrown, you have this massive transfer fee, you're thrown into the limelight, and then you don't have one or two players that are going through this. You have 10 players that you've bought that have been bought from different leagues that speak different languages, that are getting used to the Premier League, and then they have to get used to Chelsea as well. And they have these high expectations because of the transfer fee. There's a lot going in, and we've seen it even with Man City. Getting Man City to play with Haaland sometimes is a bit of a struggle because they're used to playing without a 9, and now they have this 9 that they have to cater to a bunch. And you can bet that Haaland is going to bang in the goals, and he has been. But we've also seen City struggle a bit. And imagine Chelsea like having 3/4 of the starting 11 just being new. So I think it's a bit naive to think that everything is going to just click like this just because you have these really good players. And what people have to remember as well is that they're young players. They have a lot of potential, but I don't think that they're going to be super consistent right off of the bat either. So I feel for Potter as well. It's a really tough situation. I do think that he should be doing better than he has been. Obviously, like, you should be beating Southampton at home. Like that was bad. You know, I don't know. The thing that's like boggles me the most maybe is that even though we lost versus Dortmund, I actually thought we played really well in that game.
You had a lot of chances in that game. Yeah.
So we had that, and then we've just kind of like regressed again. So that was something that was shocking. So
you know what though, I feel like with that Dortmund game, I know obviously you're trailing, but I feel like if you can get a big result against Dortmund, that could almost kickstart your season. It seems like at the moment you need that bit of a confidence boost, and a big game like Dortmund, being able to turn that around. Now that could be like the perfect situation, really. So yeah, look, Potter should be doing better, like I say. Tuchel, like, losing him in the first place, I was baffled by from the outside looking in. I was thinking, really? But that's what I mean. Like, time really is of the essence as a Chelsea manager, isn't it? Like, you're not going to be given too much time. And I do fear for him in that sense because I feel like he's got a lot of work to do, a lot of players that he needs to embed. And I'm not quite sure if he's going to be given the longevity to do that. But yeah, I do think that Dortmund game, or even the Leeds game, to be fair, but I do think a good performance and a big result from you guys can literally flip it on its head because you have got the quality there. But at the moment, he's just seeing it from individuals, and you need obviously it to be more of a unit. And it isn't really at Chelsea at the moment. It reminds me of United a few seasons ago, where we had like a lot of individuals, a lot of quality individually, but as a team, you just weren't at it. And I think that's where you guys are at the moment. And hopefully, like, of course, I hope that he's given the time and he can work with these players for longer. I guess your next 2 games will determine that on how you guys get on.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I read like a lot of articles from like the Telegraph and Athletic and everything, and the story has always been Potter's going to be given this season. Like, he's going to be given time to be able to work with the players because the owners are looking at Arteta at Arsenal, and they know that didn't, that time that it didn't happen overnight, and they know that they've just bought off these players and it's going to take time to gel, and they don't want to have the same hire and fire policy that the previous regime had. But now today, reports are saying like the Leeds and Dortmund game could really be make or break, because if you lose both of those games, the fan base like would absolutely just be in shambles. And even I think like a draw to Leeds in losing Dortmund as well, like I think you need to realistically win at least one of those games. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I just feel like the team looks really dejected at the moment. And
it does. And that's why I think you need that confidence boost of a big result.
Exactly. Like I can't
quality.
them. Yeah.
I mean, players like Joe Felix, he had a few chances, to be fair, against Dortmund, and I feel like he does offer something you can see, like his movement. Mudryk obviously is still kind of settling, but I think with players like Joe Felix and Fernandes in that midfield, like surely, like you are good enough to beat Leeds, to beat Dortmund, but it is about getting the players up for this game, because, like you said, they're so dejected at the moment. And can Potter do that? Can Potter put an arm around the shoulder of those players who are really struggling? Because, you know, especially the Dortmund game, you're creating the chances. It's just more just putting that ball in the back of the net. Spending all that money not signing a striker, it is crazy to me. But that is where you're lacking, really. I know, obviously, you're conceding goals at the other end, but I just feel like going forwards, you've got so much quality. It's a shame, really, not to utilise that. And obviously Aubameyang situation as well. That was a bit of a weird situation, wasn't it? That.
Yeah, that is a bit of a weird one, because like I think his last goal, if I'm not mistaken, feel free to correct me in the chat, I know you guys will, was versus Inter Milan. I think that he had like 3 goals in a row. I think it was like Inter, maybe Crystal Palace, Inter, or something like that. And then he went on a run where he didn't really score, and then he kind of just like found himself out of the squad, strangely. The thing is, like, with Aubameyang, he's not going to press really as much, so that could potentially be a problem, but he is a goal scorer. But I kind of feel it like a double-edged sword, to be honest with you, Soph, because if Aubameyang plays and he doesn't play well, people are going to be like, why are you playing Aubameyang? Because he's not going to be at Chelsea next season, and he's one of the older players, and you should give those minutes to the younger players. Then when he's not playing, it's like, oh, but why aren't you playing Aubameyang? He's a striker.
Yes.
So unless Aubameyang comes in and kills it, like, it's kind of a lose-lose.
But it's hard, like, if you think from the point of view of the player as well, if you're not playing regular football, like, you're just expected to come on and automatically be at that level, and it's like sometimes you need a string of games, you need minutes to do that. So like you, I think you see it from both sides. It's just the whole situation in the first place, and then leaving him out of the Champions League squad. I just found it a bit mad when you didn't sign a striker. I was just like, what? Like, I didn't get that.
No, leaving him out of the Champions League squad, I was really surprised, especially with the likes of, I don't know, like Christian Pulisic is out injured for I don't know how long. Like, I'm surprised. Like, I don't know if he's out injured. He probably isn't going to be able to play anyways. Like, he definitely isn't able to play versus either like versus Dortmund, and you need to get through. So I'm kind of like surprised about that one. But yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, everybody's super negative in the comments. Sorry, guys. Like, I just don't want to be negative. Like, it really makes me not be able to sleep at night. So I can't. But I think that that's a good place to wrap things up for today. So thanks so much for joining me. It's been amazing.
Thanks.
On. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thanks to everyone in the chat as well. My YouTube channel is called Ladies in Red. Obviously, a lot of United content on there. I'm doing a show with the ladies on Wednesday, so pop in and say hi. I'd appreciate that. And then my Twitter is Soph Richo, and then my Instagram is Soph Richo with a kiss on the end of it. I'd appreciate if you guys could give me a follow. And thank you again, Ellie, for having me on. I appreciate it. I've enjoyed it.
Amazing. Happy to hear that. Well, guys, hope that you enjoyed this. Sorry, Chelsea fans, that we're going through such a rough time. Next week, I'll be in London at the Chelsea Leeds game. So I'm flying back at this exact time. So I'll let you guys know if we're going to reschedule the stream or whatever. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to follow Soph. Make sure to sub to the channel as well. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever time you're watching this. And until next time, we're out. Bye.